All right, one last question, then we're going to open up to Q&A and close up really quickly. One issue, let's keep this as succinct as possible. If there's one issue that all the marketers here need to focus on owning for 2008, what would you recommend that should be? If there's one thing that they need to say, okay, I need to make it a priority on my agenda, it could be soft or hard goal. What is the one thing you would say, you've got to go back and take ownership of this thing?
I'm going to steal this from John because he mentioned it at the very beginning, and he said it a couple of different ways. I think there is a credibility goal that ought to be focused on by every marketer, and whether that credibility is achieved through some kind of P&L ownership or by making an impact that is measurable in the organization, or by having that quick win that John alluded to. I think if I were in a senior marketing role, I would look for that credibility inside my organization.
That's great. Ben?
I'd probably say, sitting at some level, I would argue on the front line of this, because the nature of interactive, we see this all the time. Yep. But I'd say know more about your customer set and drive that into the organization. I really firmly believe the CMO has to know more about the customers, consumers, and markets than almost anybody else in the organization. We have a kind of saying, the voice of the customer wins, and that will help give you credibility at the table for the tough decisions that you're trying to make. But they have to know more. They can't rely on the sales organization. They can't rely on supply chain. They can't rely on other pieces. They have to know more, not just about the brand. They need to know more fundamentally about the customers and markets. That's
you mean, to clarify, in your business model, you're talking about end users. So depending on how you define it,
whoever you define as your
gotcha.
End customer, you have to know more about that and drive that into the organization.
Gotcha. Awesome. John?
I'll just build on that. I think that's right. I think understanding the day in the life of, I spoke with one woman who worked, she was at paper at HP. Talk about a seemingly dull product, but followed the life of paper over time, and basically began to make inroads. So understanding what that day in the life of is important, and then going back and finding where in the organization are the pressure points. Where do you have to make sort of those political contacts? Is it the CIO? Is it the business units? Wherever that may be, to start affecting that day in the life of.
Gaston?
Yeah, I think mine is probably a little boring compared to the rest of them, but in terms of being successful and sort of bringing home the pelts and those quick wins, I talk to a lot of CMOs, and most of them get it. I think there's been a new set of rules, no doubt. I think just sitting through all of today's sessions, it's the same thing. TV's dead, analyze, optimize, ROI. Okay, fine, got it. Okay, I think most people get it. I think operationalizing that, operationalizing agility in your organization, and CMOs don't necessarily always focus on that. They think that that's something that IT is going to do for them, or that's something that, this database person that I hire, or this, particular person, really focusing on operationalizing agility so that you are optimizing and you are doing, all the things that you're talking about, can bring home some serious dividends. So I think that is probably the number one piece of advice I would give folks.
Awesome. We're actually out of time, so Gaston from Sapient, John from Northwestern, Ben from Motorola, Dan from Heidrick & Struggles, thank you very much.
Thank you again to Peter, our panel, and Sapient for producing it.